Your ascendant sign or rising sign. So I have another video that you should watch. Why the hell is the rising sign so important? So I'll put the link below. I have a unique take on the rising sign. Some people might think I don't like rising signs. They are the mask you wear. They are the defense mechanism you have to the world. But they are also, interestingly enough, the point at which you enter the earth. This becomes the environment that you're born into. Is it the chicken or the egg? Were you born into this environment and then that became your personality because it was what surrounded you? Or were you that way in a past life and then you come into that particular point in time to this earth because that's what you are? Well, I think it's both. We're born into an environment where this projection of who we wish we were is seen as positive. Our environment, our parents, our family, our culture, our church group, whatever, they want us to be this. They might even think that this is who we are. If your rising sign is the opposite sign of your sun sign, I'm sorry. Because you probably feel like your parents don't really know who you are. You might be 35 years old and they still have no idea who you are. That's kind of painful. If you have the same rising sign as your sun sign, that's awesome. There's an authenticity that comes across with you. You are so used to being true to who you are. That is great. If your rising sign is square to your sun, this is also an uncomfortable position where you probably feel like it's really hard to step into your sun sign. You just don't feel exactly comfortable being your true self. When we're kids, we usually look a lot like our rising sign. As we get older, we start to look more like our sun sign or our moon sign, especially if we start becoming that. You are what you eat. What you are inside starts representing itself to your exterior self. It's important to know what your rising sign is because you might be carrying a bunch of weight from the past that we can then release in this video. Be able to embrace more of who you truly are. The rising sign, it's the movie we're watching of what we think the world is because the environment we were born into said, hey, Cancer ascendant, you are a Cancer. You should act like a Cancer. We're going to reward you for being a Cancer. And the whole world we put around you is also going to see you as a Cancer. So in a way, our rising sign is less about who we really are, and it's more about what we see and project the world as. We act a certain way because this is our strongest foot forward in the world around us. Your ascendant is how you go about getting things. When you're little especially, let's say you're a Cancer ascendant. Your dad is watching TV and you want to watch your movie. And you go in there and you give the most cute, adorable, innocent little Cancer big eyes. And of course, nobody can resist. Or you're an Aries ascendant. And so you just go in there and you just change the channel. Take that. An ascendant is also how you survive elementary school and your siblings. When we become nervous, when we become uncomfortable, when we feel like we can't be ourselves, when we feel like somebody wants a fake presentation of who we really are, in walks the rising sign. Ta-da! Very useful to have. But to be happier in life and to be more of who you really are, being authentic is what it's all about. So become more like your sun sign, become more like your north node, become more like your moon sign. And don't let anybody force you into, you need to act a certain way to please them, Libra. Now, am I recommending to just lose all the traits of your rising sign and pretend like it doesn't exist? Treat it as something negative? No, of course not. A defense mechanism in nature is very useful. There are going to be situations where your rising sign is going to be very good for you to have. Like in a job interview, when someone's trying to treat you poorly, you can use your rising sign as a protection mechanism. All right, so without further ado, your ascendant. Pisces ascendant. Pisces, as a child, you're born into an environment that makes you feel like you need to be water. You're everywhere and nowhere at the same time. In a positive sense, you had parents that were hippies, parents that believed in things like astrology and feelings and no boundaries, and they would talk about everything, including sex, in front of you. Or in a negative sense, you were surrounded by people that were very rigid and very strong. You just felt like you couldn't measure up. And so you become the water around their rock. They are the strong one, they are the foundation, and you're just kind of going with the flow around things, just fitting in wherever you can. Maybe you had a lot of siblings and just too many people that needed things, and so you were going to be the person that just fits in all those nooks and crevices. You're just so changeable that you don't know what to be. You'll go into a party and You won't really know what you are until you arrive at the party, because you're just going to kind of fit wherever there's room. Of course, this causes problems because you don't know what you want to be or who you are or where you're headed in life, because you just keep changing. But in the positive sense, usually Pisces ascendants are very likable because people just feel comfortable with you. You know, you're not like, this is me, take it or leave it. I mean, you'll leave it, right? Yeah, pretty much. There's no fighting with you. Anyone tries to fight with you and you just like whoosh, vanish. Like, where are they? Oh, they've reinvented themselves. So that fight with that old self isn't going to work because they're a new self. Good luck with that. Because you're not very assertive, you can fall into relationships where the other person is the one who is the dominant force. And this probably started from the relationship you had with one of your parents, where they were very concrete, they were very black and white, and you just kind of shape-shifted around what they needed and what they wanted for you. Or you had a parent who was a little crazy and they were constantly changing, so you were just trying to keep up. It's really hard now to find out what makes you you. How do you have a healthy relationship being yourself? Not playing yourself or playing yourselves, but just actually being who you truly are. So this is where you can look to your North Node, your Sun, and your Moon sign. A Pisces ascendant could also have a parent that was crazy, where you have a parent who's bipolar, schizophrenic, somewhat of a mental disorder, and so a concrete personality. Your childhood has taught you that it is an illusion. And yes, this does kind of make you more evolved, but at the same time, while we know there's a oneness of the universe, there is also an individual self. Oneness is not the complete answer. We need to live in our individual self in order to grow and expand that self. First, we have to find out who that person is. Of course, Pisces ascendants are great at working with the ill or therapy, helping others. More than that, building your own willpower is kind of the key to feeling more happy and more like yourself. It's kind of funny because what's easy for most people is not easy for a Pisces ascendant. It might be easiest to just kind of drown and let people save you and just be the weak one and accept, I submit, I give up. My dog is just like that. She's awesome. She is a Staffordshire Terrier who I rescued, and she was abused, but she's got the most beautiful sweetness to her. And her first thing in any situation is, I surrender. What do you want from me? I, of course, don't know her complete chart. I do know she's a Pisces South Node, but I think that she's also a Pisces ascendant. That's how she presents herself to other dogs and other people. There's a lot of talk about empaths, and a Pisces ascendant most likely is an empath. So that sensitivity is a blessing and it's also a curse. You are so wrapped into your parents and your family, not their drama as much as just their emotions and their feelings. It's just easier to see what their feelings are and to feel those things than to just know who you are. So I hope you guys have a sun sign and a moon sign that will help with those things. And I hope you guys like my take on Pisces ascendant. We're done with the series. Can't wait for my next one. Come back and find out what it is.